Welcome to another episode of Life's Necessities and Luxuries. I'm your host, Dawn Marie Mutel, and today, actually, it was yesterday, but I tried to get a podcast together, but I was having some technical issues when I was doing some editing last night, so I'm doing it this way. Little session for you, but yesterday was National Men's Grooming Day. So, in honor of such, I wanted to reach out and talk about some skincare and some skin concerns for you guys out there who either you may have some questions, you may find that your skin is doing a couple things maybe that you just don't know how to combat, or you just really want to keep your skin clean and healthy and looking its best, right? Because you know what? There's so many things that can wreck skin, and I'm going to cover a couple of those things. But real quickly, I know that's going to be probably about 30 minutes or so, but I just want to give you this information because I think it's going to really help you from today through the rest of your life. So let's get started. Just a quick little bit about me. I have over 20 years of experience. I started modeling when I was young, and then I was in theater production and dance and theater, and then worked in music entertainment businesses and cosmetic industry, working with Clinique at their Estee Lauder headquarters in New York City. And so I've always had an interest in skincare and taking care of oneself as best as we can on, a limited budget, because I am always looking for the deal. I'm not going to spend, $85 for a jar of cream that's supposed to do magic on your skin when realistically, that is not the case. You can find stuff that's a CVS or a Walgreens or Walmart for, pennies on the dollar and still work really well, doing the job that it needs to do for you. So let's just start with your skin type. Do you know what your skin type is? There are 5 main skin types, okay? So there's normal, dry, oily, combination, and sensitive skin. So if you have normal skin, it's basically just that. It's normal, right? It doesn't really give you any kind of aggravation. But if you have dry skin, you may start to see some issues where you may see some dryness or some flakiness, or you may even have eczema. And it may not just be on your face, it may be throughout your body. So you may find that you have dry skin all around. And if you have oily skin, then it means just that there's a lot of oil production going on with the glands. And so you may have oilier skin. So you may also have oily hair if you have oily skin. So you may find that you have to wash it like every other day if you can't go a couple days without washing your hair, because it just may get too oily and you may see that that's a problem for you. Or you may have combination skin, which is you may have dryness on the patches on the cheeks, and then you may have oiliness in the T-zone, which is your forehead, your nose, and your chin area. And that's considered your T-zone, which can also have oily areas. So you want to make sure that you're using products that are for combination skin, because you don't want to take something that may be for oily skin and use it on dry skin, because it's really going to strip all of the oils and the water, and it's just going to wreak havoc on your skin. And last but not least is sensitive skin, which is something that I have. And I remember when I was a little girl, my mom had this fragrance bubble bath, and I was probably like 8 or so. And I decided I'm going to take a bubble bath and I'm going to use her product in the bathtub. And when I came out and started to dry myself, I just noticed all these red marks on my body, which was an allergic reaction to the fragrance or whatever was in there. The chemicals were just too harsh for me. And I noticed that even as a young adult, like I didn't have acne as a in my youth. And then in my early 20s, I started getting cystic acne, which was really painful. And, I was working in the music business at that time. I was working 80 hours a week and, dealing with celebrities and musicians and having this like mountain on my face when I'm speaking to someone was definitely, my self-esteem was shot. It really was painful. And I felt like, they looked at me like I had 4 heads instead of just 3. So anyway, acne is definitely something that is painful, but it is treatable. And sometimes it's not just about what you're applying on your face. It may be something what you're ingesting. So think about your diet, because diet plays a huge factor in skin. And one of the things that you can do to help your skin is to ingest more vegetables and water. Believe it or not, water is key to plumping up the skin cells and making them look really nice and, without fine lines and without creasing and things like that. Now, of course, we can't, stop hands of time, right? Because we're all going to get older, we're all going to age, and we're all going to, but there are some things we can do, and the earlier you start, the better it is. So I know, I stopped, when I was a kid, I would go into the sun, with the visors, and we would be like, oh yes, but once I got into my early 20s, I stayed out of the sun. I tried to wear hats and, everything I could do to stay out of the sun, because the sun was just getting stronger and stronger. And it was really, wreaking havoc on the skin. And we were learning more about the damage of sun rays and things like that. So if you do work outdoors or you spend a lot of time outdoors, make sure that you're using an SPF on your skin, a sunblock that's at least a minimum of 50 or higher. And you want to make sure that you get it behind your neck and your ears as well, because you know what? When you're bending down, let's say you're working outside, that sun is beating on your neck. And so you can really do damage, and you don't want that. So make sure you always wear a hat in the sun if you can. If you're outside walking, hiking, or something like that, you may want to wear a longer sleeve just to keep the sun off as much as possible. I found that I was getting some brown spots on my arm just from driving down here in Florida. And so you really want to make sure that you can protect it when you can. Now, the other thing, if you've got the dry skin, let's go back to that, because I wanted to cover something there. You definitely want to use a moisturizer every day when you come out of the shower, and not just on your face, but on the body as well. So make sure that you're using two separate products, okay? One for the face and one for the body. Now, Neutrogena has a great line of men's skincare that they can help you with. So you don't have to spend a lot of money going to a counter and spending $50, $60, $70, $100, $200, $400 for items, because you know what? I think it's a bunch of boohoo that you got to spend $400 on a moisturizer, because you know what? It's not going to do anything. The only thing that really works with that kind of stuff is when you go into a dermatologist's office, and let's say derming, things like that, where they're going to remove the dead skin cells and get like really under those layers. But most over-the-counter creams, it's just, they do have benefits, yes. And if you're concerned with maybe getting any kind of fine lines around the eyes, and known as crow's feet, then you may want to have a specific cream just for the under the eye area, because really your face is like, a cotton blouse, but then the skin around the eyes underneath is more like a silk blouse, okay? And the body skin is more like, a pair of denim jeans, where it can take a little bit more. But the face is really, and your hands too, believe it or not, because, they're exposed the most. Everything else usually gets covered up, but our face and our hands are always exposed. So speaking of hands, if you do work with your hands, don't be afraid to go and walk into a salon or to some kind of a salon school or something like that, and let them give you a manicure, because you know what, you can get hangnails, cuticles, all these different things, and they hurt too, so, and you may want to just get them clean and keep them short and things like that. And don't be afraid to also get a pedicure, because our feet take so much abuse. I mean, think about it. We're on them all day long, right? And they don't get a break unless maybe we get to sit down and put our feet up. But really, how often is that, right? Not that often. So think about ways to, even if you want your honey to do it for you, to help you, if you don't really feel good about going to a salon to have it done, but get a pedicure. Soak your feet in some warm water, maybe throw in some milk in there just to soften the skin, because milk is really great to help soften skin. Get a callus remover, whether you use I don't like using those shavers, because I feel like if you're shaving off the skin, then that means that you're just going to make more skin growth. So I'd rather you buff them out. And there's also like some different creams that you can use that also have callus removal properties in them, so that you can kind of rub them and the skin will start to come off. But definitely soak them in the water for at least 20 minutes. Clip your toenails, let your honey help you, because doing your own feet sometimes is really a challenge, right? So that's why it's great to just go to a salon, and don't feel emasculated because, you're a man and it's a woman's place, because there are a lot of men that go for pedicures, and it's something that actually, I got my ex-fiance hooked on them, because, he never did it before, and he was a New York City firefighter, and I'd be like, yeah, you should come with me. And he was having some issues with his feet, and he was just like, oh my gosh, he was like totally hooked. So, and also my brother, so trying it out and, really starting to see the difference, because you're going to see, and even if you can't do it, maybe you do it once every 6 months. Okay. But you want to do it just so that it's done, and it gives your feet a chance to, say, hey, thank you for treating me, because, you forget those little tootsies down there. And so they're really key to staying healthy. And they also give you a massage with your calves and your feet. So there's a lot of pressure points in the feet. So it really can help in so many different areas on the body, because really the sole of the feet contain like all the different spots, like, for your liver and your pancreas and this and that. And so really your feet are amazing how much they control in the body. So you want to make sure you can try to get some loving on those little tootsies. Okay. Now I'm going to cover face shapes because, let me just go back to, combination skin. Okay, so if you have the combination skin, we said to make sure you use specific products for that. But now if you have sensitive skin, which is something that I have, which I was telling you about the story about the little marks coming out from the bubble bath, but you want to make sure that whatever you're putting on your face, that look at the back of it. Don't ever use soap, like regular body soap, on your face. Make sure it's specifically made for the face. Even if that means getting a bar of Neutrogena soap that's specifically made for the face, but make sure it's the one for your right skin type, right? So you want to make sure you get the skin type. So if it's for dry skin, if it's for oily skin, make sure you see it on the packaging so that you know that you're getting the right thing to take care of your skin. But you also want to make sure that maybe once a week you do a mask, and I know, I've put masks on a lot of my male friends, and you know what? They just get really thrilled with it because they see the difference afterwards. You can see that the pores are clean. You can see that there's a glow going on. So don't be afraid to put on a mask once a week. Sit back, have a beer or whatever, have a glass of wine, whatever tickles your fancy, and just relax and put the skin mask on. You may have acne on your back, and if that's the case, you can have somebody apply it for you on your back and use an acne mask for the back to treat that. So think about using masks because they really go a little bit deeper than just cleaning the skin every day. And that's how we keep our skin looking good, right? Because the dirt gets under the pores, and then the pores will start to enlarge and they get bigger and it grows. You can see them very visibly. Now, women can do a lot of things to kind of combat it. They can use makeup and primers and all that kind of stuff. But for men, you don't really have that option unless you're starting to wear makeup, and if that's the case, then kudos to you. But most men do not wear makeup. And so you got to think about how can really keep the skin looking its best. All right, now I'm going to move on to face shapes, because let me ask you this question. Do you know your face shape? I'm thinking maybe some of you do and some of you don't. All right, there are 5 main face shapes, and I'm going to cover each of them. And then why is it so important to know what face shape? It's because you need to know what looks good when you put on the glasses, or when you put on, if you wear earrings, even your earrings, or if you're wearing any kind of necklaces, also that, and your hairstyles and facial hair, believe it or not. Okay, so let's just cover some of them real quickly. Oval, I'm going to use women as an example because most what I teach is usually with women. So oval face shape, okay, is considered the perfect face shape. So think of somebody like Jessica Alba, Eva Mendes. They have the perfect face shape. Then you have the round face shape, which is where your cheeks and your chin, and it just kind of makes it a full circle, right? So think of somebody like Jack Black or Cameron Diaz. They have a round. Or if you have a square face shape, which is somebody like Salma Hayek or Angelina Jolie, the width of the forehead and the chin really basically come into a square. So you'll see that. And then if you have Zac Efron, I think, has a square face shape as in the male section there. And then your oblong face shape, which is like the oval, only it just extends a little bit longer. So think of somebody like Sarah Jessica Parker or Hilary Swank. They have that oval or the oblong face shape. Okay. Now, why is that important? Okay, you may want to think about hats. Which style hat to wear? You may have, if you have a very round face, you might want to have a wider brim to kind of go with it and keep it in scale, right? So, or if you have a super small oval shaped face, if it's very small, then you're not going to want to wear a wide brim hat because you're going to get lost under it. So you may want to wear something more like a cap or a beanie or something like that. The other thing is when you look at your accessories, like in your eyeglass frames, okay, so if you have a round face shape and you're trying to combat the roundness and you're trying to camouflage it and you want to look a little bit more angular, then you're going to want to stay away from any round frames, or you're going to want to find something that's more angular and a little bit more wider so that it kind of sits down here rather than up here. Believe it or not, because there's 3 different levels of the face, right? So you got to think about when you have your glasses, you know, you have from the bridge to the bottom of your eyes, and then from there to the bottom of your cheeks here. So think about those areas when you're looking at glasses, because you also, if you have, let's say you have a wider face or something like that, you don't want to have a really thin, small frame because that's just going to keep it off balance. So think about these things. And or you could do the opposite. If you want to accentuate that round face shape, then you would just use round glasses like a John Lennon glass or something like that and really accentuate it. So that's up to you how you want to do that. But there's a couple of different things that you can do. So for instance, if you want to do facial hair on a oval face shape, okay, you're not going to want a really long full length beard because it's just going to make the face look, again, unbalanced, and it's going to, people are going to be looking like, what's off with that? It's not going to look right. So if that's the case, you're going to want to make sure that the hair is very close to the face, and you know, and it looks very professional that way as well. So if you do work in business where you have to meet clients or what have you, or if you work in corporate America, you may want to think about keeping that beard really, and it doesn't matter what face shape it is, but I think you should really take care of the beard. And speaking of beard, let me just quickly go into that for a minute. Did you know that you should really moisturize and condition the beard and the hair on the face? Because it can really make the hair so much softer. And you may have your partner say, you know what, that beard is really aggravating my skin, because maybe they have sensitive skin and it just bothers them. And you're like, well, what? And you don't want to shave it off. Try conditioning it every day with hair conditioner that you would use in the shower for your hair. Start using it on your face. But if you have sensitive skin, just try to find a product that's just for that, and then see if you find one for sensitive skin. If you're just doing mustaches, or if you're just going for hairstyles, knowing your face shape is going to help you decide on which hairstyle you should have for your face, right? So if you have a round face shape, for instance, I'm going to go back to the round, then you may want to have something that has a little bit more fullness on the top to kind of give you some height, so that it kind of stretches it out and makes it a little bit more angular. Same if you have an oblong face shape and it's a little too long and you don't like it and you want to shorten the look of it, then you can just start wearing bangs, which is going to cut off the length of the face. Also, if you have like a square shaped face, you don't want to have a haircut that's going to kind of come into that section there, because it's really going to emphasize it. So you may want to go a little bit longer or just a little bit shorter. So it's up to you. Right, now let's go back to the skin here. There's a couple concerns we always have about skin, right? And usually it could be fine lines and the crow's feet, or maybe it's just, you just find that, you know, maybe you're getting brown spots, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just, you may be getting bumpy skin from shaving too much. So there's a couple different things you can do. Okay, so let's start with fine lines. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you have the water intake. And a lot of people don't like to drink water, but it's super uber important to keep those skin cells plumped up and keep them from drying out like a raisin, right? Because that's what can happen to skin. It just kind of shrivels up and it just, doesn't look pretty. So you want to keep that glow on, and you want to keep it looking nice and fresh as a daisy, as I like to say. But one of the things you can do is, okay, if you don't like to drink water, maybe you just put some fruit in it, or, get some of the water with essence so that it's got a flavor in it, so that you're just starting to drink it more. But stay away from sugary products, because sugar is going to rob that moisture. It's going to take it right out of there. So if you're drinking a lot of soft drinks or, maybe juices that have a lot of sugar in them, because, a lot of times we think we're drinking something healthy when we drink a juice, right? But then if you look at the back of the bottle and you say, 29 grams of sugar, like what the hey? We're trying to do something good for ourselves, but it's combating us with the sugar. So try to stay away from, at least cut back a little bit on sugar, and you're going to start to see a difference in your skin. Another thing is to definitely, if you can start drinking morning green juices, I had seen a massive difference in my skin once I started doing that. I mean, I used to be a smoker and I quit smoking. That really helped. So if you smoke cigarettes, try to stop smoking. I know it's one of the toughest things to do. It really is. But if you do, you're going to see difference. I had a friend of mine who lived overseas who was a smoker. And let me tell you, he used to smoke like probably a pack a day or whatever. And then he quit for, I think it was not even a year. And I had seen him again. And I was blown away by the night and day, because I'm like, oh my God, it really is true what smoking can do to the skin. So if you do smoke, please try to quit. And also just think of how healthy you're going to feel and how much money you're going to save. I know I quit because it's just so nice to not have to pay for those stupid things anymore. But hey, it's your life. You do as you wish. But you know what? If you can, kick the habit now. Start today. And just give yourself a challenge, right? It's the first week is going to be the toughest. And after that, it's an easy peasy. All right. So we covered the face shapes, we covered the skin types. Now the skin concerns. Now you also, let's say you have some brown spots coming up. Now that could be from sun damage, right? Because sun damage has a way of showing its ugly face like 15, 20 years after it happened, So it's from all the past stuff that we've done in the past. Now, one of the things you can use is hydroquinone, which you would have to get specifically from, your dermatologist. And if you do have that, then, they can help you with that. But it takes a long time to see those disappear because it's just a slow process. But you have to consistently do it to see the results. Now, most of us want something done tomorrow, right? We don't want to wait 6 months to see it disappear. So you can talk to your dermatologist a little bit about that. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of you go to dermatologists, right? I know a lot of people don't. But you should get his full screening, for skin cancer, things like that. And I think most plans, I think they usually include like some kind of a screening. So call your provider and see what they offer, or you could find a place that may have free screenings in your area. But definitely get yourself checked, especially if it's something that you don't stay on top of things. My dad had skin cancer, and he could really he was very fair skinned, and as soon as he went outside he would burn, but he loved being outside. And so they had Copatone, right? SPF 4 was probably the highest I think I ever saw growing up, and then started to climb from there. But really it's a serious thing. I have a friend whose uncle died at a very young age from skin cancer. I think he was only 32 years old. So you definitely don't want to play around with that. If you see anything suspicious, or have somebody check your back for you or things like that, and look behind your ears and, things like that, because it's always in the weird places that sometimes we don't think to look. All right. I think that's all I'm going to leave you with, because that's quite a bit, right? And so I want you to just think about ways that you can kind of start to take care of your skin a little bit better. And if you're not a fan of bubble baths, I say check it out. It's nothing frou-frou. It's not just for girls, okay? I had another friend who used to love taking his bubble baths, and I think, and I used to be like, wow, it's kind of funny because you don't really imagine guys taking bubble baths, right? Usually it's the girls. So, but it works for everybody, and it's a great de-stressor. As long as you don't put hot water in the tub, maybe just use a lukewarm temperature, because you don't want it to dry out your skin. It'll defeat the purpose of soaking. Throw in some bath salts to help those achy muscles, get a couple bubbles, and maybe you have some bubbles to drink or whatever it might be. Maybe it's the bubble essence water, and you put it in a nice glass and make sure it's plastic so it doesn't fall on the tiles in the bathroom and smash all over the place. But be safe, soak well, and stay healthy, my friends. Until the next time, if you like this episode, please share it with your friends. I appreciate it, and I will speak to you soon.